Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to round number 6 of Division 1 action here in Viva Las Vegas. The drivers are going to gamble it all here tonight. The stakes are high, but the speeds are higher coming into tonight as we get ready for another beautiful round in Division 1. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and alongside me here tonight is the one, the only, the Wild Track. How you doing tonight, mate?
Wreckers, I am absolutely fantastic. It's awesome to see the Rush team heading out to Las Vegas, one of the best tracks on the grid as far as I'm concerned in terms of a street course. Nice long straight, 17 turns, some absolutely fantastic action here, so looking forward to this one tonight.
Exactly. Las Vegas is a track that a lot of people weren't really a big fan of before the start of the 2023 season when this track was introduced, but it has quickly become a fan favorite. The glitz, the glamour, the high speeds, it's basically American Monza on steroids. And without any further ado, we're just going to jump straight to the track for our singular qualifying session of the night. It is going to be short quality, so basically first person to get pole position. You don't have to go through the 3 stages of quality, just the 1 stage, and then you are going to be set. So
That's
here
right,
we
mate.
go.
We've got 18 minutes of fast-paced qualifying action. The guys are in their garages at the moment, getting their setups loaded, making sure that their tyre pressures and their wing angles, their geometry is all ready to go. Setups are absolutely crucial when it comes to any of your league racing. You have to have a balance between a good quality setup as well as having a good setup for the actual race as well, making sure that your tyres last the distance of the race and that you're not going to leave yourself open up to attack later on into the actual laps of the race as the first group starts heading out.
Yeah, so Vegas, a lot of people are going to run similar wings in Vegas that they would for Monza, which is that 0-0 wing, because you really don't need downforce on this track. I mean, this is probably the only track on the F1 calendar where you could just not even have a rear wing and still be beneficial on this course, because you have so many long straights. Really, Sector 1 is really the only part of the track where downforce could even really help you, and maybe the final corner. Um, but other than that, you really do not need downforce, as Andre already goes ahead and invalidates his lap before he's even really got a chance to kick it off here. So we do have a 19 driver grid here tonight. We'll run through our entire list. We have A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O. Instead of doing all that, we're just going to call them alphabet. So we got Alphabet currently in P1 in the Haas, followed by Gangster in the McLaren, Chandler's in the Kick Sauber, Thomas Reed, which team principal H-Town has told me to keep an eye on this guy. He is apparently one to watch out for here tonight. Jumping in to the Mercedes for tonight, and then we have Brodsta, reigning champion who was absent last week, of Jonno in the Ferrari. And then there's Watanabe, Jorgo, Bongo, Ryan Adair. And then we have Dido, Aines Raiden, Andre, Swith, Kiatonic, JDI, who we'll hop on board with right now for his lap. And then it is Jammy and the One Truth, our 19 drivers on the grid here tonight. And this is probably, like you said, the best street track for overtaking, because it's mostly just long straights, really. I mean, you got the run down turn 1, and then obviously you have the famous Vegas Strip to contend with. So let's say you're somebody trying to learn this track, Wild Track. What advice would you give them coming into this Las Vegas track?
Definitely one of the best pieces of advice that I can give is make sure that you've got plenty of battery for the Vegas Strip. It is long, and it is deceptively long because the DRS zone starts halfway along that straight with that, that gentle left-hand curve that starts from the end of turn 12 there, and by the time that you're actually at the DRS point, you can actually find yourself out of battery. So you need to conserve to make sure that you've got enough battery to get the absolute maximum you can out of that strip. It is a super important part of this track, and that's why you're saying a lot of guys will run super duper low wings on this track, because that's where you make up a lot of your time. As we see JDI go over for a 1:30.797.
Very good lap time there from him, as now we got to go and check in with our championship leader of Jonno, who missed last week in Singapore, so he is still technically undefeated in races he has actually been a part of. So that is definitely a very interesting one, to say the least. We'll see if he can keep it up as he continues on here tonight. We'll see if he can essentially keep up that streak, as Broadsta has retired from the session. There is 2 Broadstas I have just now noticed. There's Broadsta F1 and then Broadsta that's in a Haas.
Interesting.
Yeah, that I have never seen double of a person in a league race, so that will be curious to see how that one gets sorted out.
Thomas Reid taking a provisional pole at the moment with a 1:30.433, as we do have Jonno heading into the final section across the line and going a 1:30.7, but it is MC Jamie smashing across the line at a 1:30.14 for the new provisional pole setter.
Yeah, MC Jamie has had some really good pace here in the last couple of weeks. So, okay, so something worth noting, and this is going to throw us off here, is that Broadsta F1 is apparently not the actual Broadsta, so he is the imposter among us, apparently. So
very interesting.
This is a
Pop Top coming through for his final part of the run into turn 12 and onto that Las Vegas strip. As you can see there, like I mentioned before, maintaining a heap of battery. So he's coming into that Las Vegas strip with about 65% battery and burning it all the way down to the DRS point and all the way down to that coming off the Vegas strip at turn 13. So very important part of the track there as he heads down to the final lot of corners and going to be posting a 1:30, I'm tipping, by the way that he's going across. 1:31.2, so that puts him in 15th.
Okay, so I misread, and it is the Broadsta F1, the Broadsta in Aston Martin that is the real one, and the Haas one is the duplicate. So, I mean,
gotcha.
This is a heck of a race to have.
Never seen that happen before.
In America right now, for a lot of places, it is currently pretty early hours in the morning. It is currently 3:43 a.m. my time, and seeing 2 Broadstas at what is nearly 4 a.m. is a pretty funny sight to see. I am not gonna lie. As drivers are going to go ahead and prepare for their next runs, we do have Pop Top giving it another go. He's making his way through. He's taking this lap as a bit of a charge-up lap here to kind of recharge that battery he is harvesting all the way through, so he is not going to be pushing for an improvement. A driver who is going to be pushing for a bit of an improvement is also not One Truth, because he is going to just pull out into the pits and get ready for his second run. Now, something that these drivers will definitely need to take advantage of here tonight, especially coming down the Vegas Strip where Pop Top is at the moment. You got to really take advantage of the teammate tow, which pretty much everybody but Alphabet can really take advantage of. Just because you have your teammate that could really give you a massive boost coming down that massive Vegas Strip, drag strip essentially. So, I mean, you can utilize that in the race as well. So expect a lot of overtakes, expect a lot of lots of late breakers moments coming into the beginning of Sector 3, which is right about turn 14 and 15. The drivers do need to be careful though, because if they send it too deep, then you could bet the entire track on red, and you could just not win the jackpot when you're trying to go for some of those late attacking moves around this circuit. But yeah, we'll see who's got the ace in their sleeve here tonight, and who's going to go home empty-handed.
That's right, we do have a fair chunk of the drivers back out on track now, looking to improve on their first banking lap times. This is a fairly common thing that you'll see the guys do. They'll go out, get a banker, a safe lap, nothing too crazy. They're not going to push the track limits too much. They're just going to get something on the board, so at least if they do run out of time, they've got something up there. So it'll be interesting to see. You do have JDI coming through. He is finishing up Sector 2, and he's already, finish up into Sector 2, and he's already 0.1 of a second up on his previous time as he slips past the Haas there, heading down into turn 12 and the start of the Vegas Strip. Like I said, keeping that battery really nice and high. He's at 81% at the start of that battery, and he's got that teammate toe that we were just talking about all the way through here. Absolutely fantastic use of the teammate there. An absolutely perfect example of what you were just saying, Reckers.
Indeed, yeah, and we're going to go ahead and try to find Meowsy, which I believe that is Pop Top, if I'm not mistaken. I believe anyway. It's one of those usernames that's different on the Discord compared to what we see on track, so I'll have to do some detective work and figure out who that may be. But in the meantime, because we do have a onboard request, Pop Top is
Mr.
now
Thunder doing a 130.169, so he's improved a fair bit up into second position.
Indeed, so we're going to go ahead and try to find the driver in question for Meowsy so we can go ahead and do the onboard request. And I wonder if this is Thomas Reed actually making his way. Let's see if he can go ahead and make his way on through. Thomas Reed is now improving quite a bit as he makes his way down the Vegas Strip. And he is going to go ahead and start to really burn up that battery, coming down to about 14%. Coming down into turn 14, hard on the brakes, a very, very tough braking zone here. And he is going to go ahead and make his way through as he is going to go ahead and come to the line now. It might be a sub 130. It is going to be good enough for P5. It is a 130.360. So that is going to be how that one plays out. And so far, we're seeing some pretty good laps across the board here tonight, Wild Track. But it is still a lot to come here. So
that's right. Nothing in the sub 130s yet. The 129s. That's potentially what you're going to be looking at in the the latter part of the qualifying session. You do have Swift going through now on his way down to turn 13 and 14 into the third sector. He is going to be pushing pretty hard, but I don't think he's going to improve that much on his time. No improvement there. He's actually gone into the pits. He's not improved, so he's going to save the that set of tyres there and head straight back into the pits. Not a great deal of improvement actually on this second run.
Yeah, it's interesting because here's the thing, right, is you can usually find a 10th in that corner, in that chicane. There's usually, let's just use Imola for example. There's a good amount of chicanes and there's a good amount of corners where you can really make or break lap time. But here you don't have a lot of corners to really make up that time. You really just you got maybe 2 corners that you can really make up time at, and most of them are just setting up for the massive straights. So there's not usually a lot of room for improvement once you get that good time in. But drivers are going to push with everything they got to really try to find all of those tenths, all those hundreds, all those thousands, all of those micro nanoseconds that they can to really try to improve and get things really, really ramped up here. As Jonno now is going to make his way to the line, he is burning the battery, and he is going to burn his way straight on into the pits. So he's going to go and make his way into the pits. And with about 3 minutes to go, we're about to experience what I like to call rush hour. As now we go ahead and get ready for everything to really kick up. All the drivers are going to be pushing hard on the outlap to really get the best lap humanly possible. As we have Alphabet now on the track.
Yeah, that's right. And look, in terms of actually finding spots to make up a little bit of time, a bit of improvement, I mean, in Sector 2, you do have those series of turns, 7, 8, and 9, going past the MSG Sphere. Look, that's a really good spot to try and make up a little bit of time if you can keep that nice and tight. And then heading also at the end of the Vegas Strip into turns 14, 15 and 16, that little chicane there, you can make a little bit of time up as well. But like you said, there isn't a great deal that you can do beyond that. You know, it's pretty much down to your setup, getting as pointy as possible down that Vegas Strip, and then just, you know, holding on for the ride. For the most part, though, I think there might be at least a tenth out there for everybody, so maybe we'll see a sub 130. That would be awesome to see in the Div1. The guys get down into the 129s. I've got hopes for Jonno and Jammy, so we'll see how they go. Even Thunder, you know, he's not far off of it, so we might be able to see a sub 130 out of those guys. If we do have Thunder about to head over the line for the start of his hot lap as well. Sorry, he's still on the Vegas Strip. Who's starting their hot lap? It is Alphabet. He's the first out in the Haas. So coming down into that first sector, trying to make up as much time as he could. He's currently in position 12 on the grid, so he will want to be making up as much time as possible on this final dash for cash. And I tell you what, this is definitely one of those tracks where being caught in the mid-pack doesn't help you a great deal, because if you get caught in that DRS train, you may find yourself staying there for the entire race.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of corners you can absolutely just dive bomb someone on this track. You really got turn 14, and that's just about it. And maybe you could try to get an overtake coming out of the first DRS zone as Alphabet makes his way now onto the Vegas Strip, going down Las Vegas Boulevard, and he will pass through the array of casinos and hotels as he makes his way just past Caesar's Palace, a venue that itself is Formula One, and that's a close one with the Alpine, a definite code brown if I've ever seen one, as Alphabet is going to make his way hard on the brakes into the chicane, and now he's going to go ahead and burn the last bit of his battery, making his way through. He is getting a bit of a slipstream, though, from some of these cars that are just ahead of him, and he is going to go ahead and jump across the line. That is an improvement to P11, and now we're going to go on board.
We do have Mr. Thunder, who is just over a tenth and a half up, so he could actually get a bit of an improvement out here. He's just got a really good tow from his teammate in the Kicksauber, so it'd be interesting to see how much he's able to hold on into the final sector. This could actually put him up and over. We'll definitely see here, because as soon as we're done with him, we're going to jump over to Jammy and Jonno, because they are the ones to watch at the moment with some interesting times. Oh, there you go, just on top by only 0.03 of a second. But if you see Jammy coming in not far behind, he's on the Vegas Strip, and Jonno right behind him. It'll be interesting to see how these guys go. They are pretty close to their first times, and this could be a really close shootout for that top position.
Indeed, yeah, now we're on board with Jammy as he's making his way through. He's going to go hard on the brakes, and that is qualifying going to be done and dusted here, as we do have everybody trying to make the last dash for cash, to take your words, And he's going to go ahead and make his way to the Vegas start line. Is it going to be it? It is provisional pole.
130.
A 129.964. Jonno stays in P3. Bronster jumps up into P2. What a lap time there from the Aston Martin. We'll see if the TP can jump in and join his teammate. Gangster's done. Andre's done. Jorgo, Dido, Ryan, Pop Top, they're all done with their laps.
Watanabe.
He's going to go ahead and try to make it. Nope, he's in the pits.
Oh, no, he's done.
And then what about Thomas?
Thomas Reed.
H-Town was singing his praises a bit earlier on, and right now that he is currently the top-rated Mercedes. But he improves his time, but not his position.
Not his position.
And now Chandler's going to make it up across the line. He improves to 9th. And then it is Alphabet, a.k.a. Coda, who's now just going to make his way into the pits. And qualifying is done and dusted with Mick Jammy taking pole position by just under a tenth and a half. Very, very fine margins here in Las Vegas. But hey, that's how Las Vegas works. Fine margins and high stakes.
Yeah, not much more than a second splitting pretty much the entire grid here. So, your top 6, and that's, I'll always say, those first 3 rows on the grid are going to be super duper important. You do have your top 6 set there, and that's a great lap by Jamie. Getting into that sub 130 is the only driver to be able to do it. Absolutely fantastic lap, and like I said before, making sure that you've got plenty of battery on at that straight does have a huge effect here. So being able to drain it all the way down, that's absolutely fantastic. So here we are, big race, 25 laps, I think it is, 25 laps for this one.
Yep, and 25 laps, and we're just going to scroll through our qualifying results here. It is going to be Mick Jammy taking pole position here tonight. He will start from the front of the grid, but it is difficult to keep that lead for the entire lap just because it is primarily a straight line track, and the track is actually pretty wide at a few good portions of this Las Vegas street circuit. So we have seen weather play a factor on this track in the past. We haven't seen weather in the real life iteration of the track outside of 2025 during the practice sessions, but it is a street circuit. Grip isn't the highest, and this is going to be easily the lowest downforce street circuit, and actually the lowest downforce track that's remaining on the counter, because we've already been to Monza and we're here in Las Vegas, so that's 2 of your high-speed tracks already done and dusted. But next week we have the Chinese Sprint, which is going to be a interesting week as we go on to round number 7. But before we get to there, we still have a good amount of round 6 to go ahead and go through. It is going to be the start of the week here in Las Vegas. Hopefully the drivers didn't put all their time and effort into gambling and put a little bit of time into getting their car setups perfectly tuned, which is why everyone's doing it right now. Make sure that their fuel loads are perfectly tuned and making sure that their strategies are key. It is probably just going to be a simple one-stop. Medium and hards are probably going to be your tires of choice because tire degradation isn't super egregious on this track compared to some of the other tracks compared to next week in Shanghai. But here we go. We have those 5 red lights. And the stakes are high, and it's lights out, and away we go here in Viva Las Vegas. Drivers are ready, trying to jockey for position coming into turn 1, and there is a bit of chaos. I'm seeing some end plates, and cars go running a bit wide. Back up to the front here, and just seeing the midfield chaos. And it looks like the top 5 will stay as they are. JDI, I think, actually dropping down a little bit here. Not the greatest start for the Kick Sauber. He's already down 2 positions. Popped up a spot. Oh, and we're seeing some drivers kind of get shuffled around here. Dido getting into the mix here as well as the drivers make their way past the Sphere. The very famous Las Vegas Sphere. As we now make our way down alongside the monorail. Coming into the straight that leads to the Vegas Strip. And we will see how it's going to go here tonight as Mick Jeremy is still leading the race. And oh, maybe a bit of a moment there for Pop Top as he's going to let his teammate on by, potentially the two Mercedes going side by side. That will be a position switch as Pop Top is now falling down the order here as they make their way onto the Las Vegas Strip. I'm trying to see if he's got any damage. No, he does not. Just kind of the nature of this Las Vegas Strip. Just a lot of drivers slipstreaming super close together. I'm seeing carbon fiber! Oh, Ozzy Manero kind of creating a bit of a bottleneck there. I think he might have got tapped coming into the chicane, but that is lap 1. Done and dusted. A little bit of carnage, but for the most part, we stay green.
Yeah, look, it's interesting to say about Pop Top. It is one of those things where if you get yourself out of position and you're no longer able to, take advantage of that slipstream as you come down the strip, you can find yourself kind of trying to get, merge back in to the train, and you just, you're out on the edge. You do not get that advantage of the slipstream, and then just 2-3 cars will just slip on by you. It is certainly, an unfortunate place to find yourself. But Pop Top goes down again, another position. So he's down to 10th now. Still in the points, but still, this is not a good place to be, seeing that he started a fair bit higher. Not a great deal of damage out there. A couple of end plates probably here and there, which isn't too bad. But we do have the guys as they're heading around on to their the Las Vegas Strip for the second time. Very interesting to remember of that. Was it Carlos Sainz who picked up the manhole cover here a few years back on the?
Yeah, it was during the. It was during the. I think it was actually Ferrari that picked it up twice.
That's right.
I think both times it was a manhole cover. It was a Ferrari picking it up, and I mean that's just kind of the thing with this specific regulation of cars, because it is a new regulation starting this year. And we should be getting an announcement here soonish about the F1 26 DLC coming out. So we should be getting some news on that here pretty soon. As in the real world, the Bahrain preseason testing has wrapped up. And we Mazda, aka Imposter Broadster, retiring from the race. And that is a VSC going ahead and slowing everybody down. I didn't quite see what happened there. I do know that there is quite a bit of a gaggle that is kind of formed up here. And he has left the session. The real Broadster currently in P1. And I saw the question in chat earlier. Asking, and I'm going to actually extend this one to you as well. As we go back green, who are you gambling on to win this one? And I'm actually going to go and... I mean, we're in Vegas, so you got to gamble, but you got to take some risks. And I'm actually going to say that Broadster has a good chance of winning this one. He's been on the pace for the last couple of weeks, and I think it's finally his time to strike gold.
You know what? I'm gonna put my money on. We are in Vegas, so let's do a bit of gambling. I'm gonna say Thomas Reed. H-Town talked him up a fair bit, so he's still in the top 5. Well and truly in that DRS train. So, you know what? With some good strategy and maybe a sneaky undercut, he could find himself in a decent position. But it all comes down to tyre management and, can he keep those tyres alive for the entirety of this race as you see your top 5 whip through to start lap 4. A little bit of movement there. Broadster, Jonno, Watanabe, Jamie, Thomas Reed. It's Didu, Lamb, Chandler's, and Thunder. Thunder all the way down to 9th. So he's obviously gotten tangled up at some point, and that means that he started quite high. That's a little bit disappointing for him.
I'm sorry, I just never heard anyone refer to him as Didu. I'm gonna have to use that as some kind of commentary pun.
What is it?
It's Dido.
Dido, there you go. Dido.
We'll see what Dido can do as he is now chasing down Thomas Reed for P5, trying to break into that top 5 in that Gulf Williams machine. He is chasing his way through.
Jonno's just taken the lead.
Yep, and Jonno will take the lead coming onto the Vegas Strip, but that might come to bite him as Broadsta is going to get the massive slipstream and the DRS, because the detection point's right here, right where we just passed. It's right before the halfway point of the Las Vegas Strip, and now he is going to go ahead and try to close that gap. Jonno trying to go ahead and disrupt the airflow a bit, giving a bit of a wiggle, and that's just the thing with these ground effect cars. It's so tricky to follow these cars because, while yes, they basically vacuum the car to the ground, you really do lose they also kind of like push out a bunch of air, so trying to follow these cars can be a bit tricky through some corners, and Bronson is really trying to make the most of things here, trying to really work for it. Watanabe, though, is also in a really good spot. He is also really just trying to work for it at the moment. As we do take a look, the fastest lap right now is actually held by Thomas Reed, which is Wildcheck's prediction with a 1:33.4. And now we'll see if Watanabe can really start to close in this gap. He's not going to want to try anything too risky because his teammate is just up ahead trying to fight for the win. So if anything, we might see him become the Aussie Minister of Defense, trying to hold off Jamie here in the Red Bull, who is looking pretty punchy here tonight. He did start on pole position, but he is down a few spots. Kind of the nature of this Las Vegas track, just due to the fact that it is basically a drag strip, or almost practically an oval here, as I do see a bit of a carbon fiber getting thrown up as drivers go through the curb before entering the Las Vegas Strip. As we are now a fifth of the way through this Grand Prix, and we will see now as Chandler's is going to go ahead and watch as his teammate Chandler's going to make the move onto Ryan Adair. Sauber on Ferrari, going to be side by side. Oh, that was inches if there wasn't contact with the wall. I think there was contact because Ryan has dropped a handful of spots. The Saubers will swap. Bronston now is going to get really close. Now it's actually Red Bull and Aston going side by side. Jeremy and Watanabe really getting it close there with Thomas Reed. Pretty much right in the wheel tracks of these guys. He's going to look for any gap, and he's got a gap. He's trying to go to put a wheel in on McJamie. We'll see if he can get it here. He was the slipstream, but so many drivers with DRS. Oh! Jamie running straight into the back of Watanabe, and that might have been a track limit warning there for Thomas Reed. But I mean, Thomas Reed, he's doing pretty solid here tonight. The TP came in just a bit beforehand and started, gassing him up a bit. And so far, I think it is kind of warranted. He's pretty much right here in this mix, not letting these guys run away with anything at the moment. As now McJamie is going to go and try to close in the gap to the two Aston Martins up ahead. Well, one Aston Martin is trying to defend his position. Another one's trying to gain a position here on the Vegas Strip. It's hard to bet against Jonno, but it is Las Vegas. And what happens in Vegas? Well, in this case, usually it stays in Vegas, but in this case, it will pop up on the score sheets a bit later. But here we go. He's going to make the move, and he's got the speed, got the slipstream, and that's as easy as you'd like it. Brought up back in the lead of the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
That's right, and it's interesting to see Jonno just putting a little move there to try and defend to make sure that Watanabe didn't follow through, making it a double overtake there. Throughout the rest of the field, though, from 10 down, Lamb's down there, Ryan Adair, he is basically on the back end of that top 10 DRS train, so pretty much from position 1 down to position 10 is just a big old DRS train, and then from position 11 down to 15 you've got another DRS train that has formed, and then the last one from Kryptonic down in 15 through. But it'll be interesting to see with One Truth and Aussie both fighting it out. A quick position change there, which is interesting to see in the midfield. I think that what we've got, I don't know if any of the guys in the position 11 down are really going to be able to bridge that gap up to that front DRS train. I mean, that's really going to be motoring along, and there's about 3.5, 4 seconds there. So unless there's some another safety car or VSC action, they may not be able to actually close down that gap. So this could be your points getters as we see it.
That indeed, as the two Aston Martins do switch positions, shockingly enough, as now Watanabe is going to go ahead and try to give it a go for the race win here. As here's the thing though, if you let both Aston Martins lead this race, and actually this might have been a bit of a strategic call here to try to get Broadstone a bit of slipstream to try to chase down Jonno, which I'm not sure if that was the case. It sounds like it's a good move on paper. I can't really see it working out in practice, but Watanabe now is going to be that wingman going ahead and defending with his life. But Broadstone goes a bit wide, trying to find some kind of angle that he can attack the current and reigning champion of Jonno. We'll see if he can hold on here. Jonno has won every single race with the exception of the one race he wasn't here, being in Singapore. So he's still on that hot streak, and he's going to come back and look to make a name for himself here yet again as he makes his way through the Las Vegas sphere. And then now
really
Jonno.
Really important section, the Las Vegas sphere, because, I mean, getting a good launch out of that turn can really set you up for the entire second half of the course. And especially, you know, if you're following in behind some of that dirty air, which we all know, with Jonno, a little bit of a wiggle there. I wonder if lap 8, you know, his tyres are starting to feel the pressure. But, you know, continuing what I was saying is, you know, getting a good launch out of that the sphere can really set you up for the second half of the track, and, you know, can really put you in a position. Here we go, with Broadstar jumping into first position again past Jonno. So this is a fairly, you know, kind of a switcheroo kind of race that we've got here, where the guys are trading first position, and it's really just that top three that are doing it. It'd be very interesting to see how that goes by the end of the race, and who's actually able to hold on, where we do have McJamie coming through on Watanabe. Does he have the inside line? He does, but he's going to lose it through turns 4 and 5 and is not able to make it stick. But something's happened. Oh, Thomas Reid's gone to the pit. I was like, where's Thomas Reid?
Ooh, yeah, that's going to be an interesting stretch to go. We'll see who else decides to follow in. I feel like it's kind of early, though, to try to pit in here on this track. I would think you'd at least want to try to get to like 10, maybe 12, roughly. That's when I figured you'd want to come in, but obviously the engineers...
Yeah, I'd be going in lap 12.
The engineers
lap 12,
are
that
definitely...
gives you 17.
Yeah, the engineers are probably seeing something that you and I aren't. So that'll be a interesting one, to say the least. We'll see how that strategy call does play out for Thomas, as now McJamie is going to try to make his way out through. The gaps are pretty much kind of stabilized here. You'll still see a good amount of switcheroo. It's almost like a bicycle race, really, just seeing drivers try to utilize that momentum, utilize the slipstream, and just kind of swap positions around. As the two Aston Martins are getting a little feisty, a little punchy. If the two Aston Martins start fighting, then it's going to be a freebie. And oh no, the Aston Martins have been split by the Red Bull. The Red Bull, it's got wings, and it's certainly using them here to great effect. Up into P3 now, as we are going to see that pit stop window start to open, as we actually do have a few more drivers making their way into the pits as we speak. So a few drivers shedding those mediums, jumping straight onto the hard compound. Now, I did look at the tires at the start of the race. Everybody did start on that medium compound, so almost everybody coming into the pits will surely jump onto a set of hards. I don't foresee a two-stop unless, like you said earlier, safety car or something comes out. But it is probably just going to be a one-stop, medium to hard. Should be the play for the Grand Prix. But yeah, I'm still kind of surprised that some drivers have opted to pit in so early here, Wild Track.
Yeah, look, keep an eye on Thomas Reid. He's coming through. He's the one who started this early pit sequence. And whether or not now he's going to get the full effect of that undercut because they've covered off to pit on the next lap will be interesting to see. Most of the guys here now are all about to, by the looks of things, about to come in. You know, look, pitting a lap 10, that gives you 15 laps on the hard compound tires. You know, that's probably the smartest strategy there. You know, if you can get a good 10, good 15 laps out of them, that's fine. So Thomas Reid, He's going to have to get 16 out. Will he? That come back and bite him in the last couple of laps with a little bit of extra rubber on these other guys. As you see, Jamie heading into the pits, Broadster heading into the pits, and Chandler's heading into the pits as well. Those guys jumping onto their hard compound tyres. Aussie is in there as well, and then you can see them all starting to follow. Audrey, Kryptonic. Now here we go with Thomas Reid. So he has jumped all the way through to position 3 with Watanabe and Jonno the only ones yet to pit. Very interesting to see. Very interesting to see. He's already got... There's a 16-second gap between him and Watanabe. Well, effectively the pair of them because they're glued together at the front there. Now, that means that if that time is really coming down more, he should have the undercut to slingshot himself into the lead. But will his tyres last? That's the question.
That is going to be the question of the night indeed, and he's going to have to put up with a few challenges as well, because Mick Jeremy is going to be on that fresher tire. Pretty much everybody behind Thomas is going to be on that fresher compound. So we'll see if they can catch up and make the move happen here. Thomas Reid now is going to make his way down the Las Vegas Strip. He does have a good amount of cars behind him, but they aren't all really packed up together. So I doubt we'll see any NASCAR style bump drafting down here. As now we'll see who's going to make the pit here. It is Jonno going to take the pit stop here on lap 11. So Watanabe staying out, inheriting the lead for Aston Martin. And he is going to go ahead and make his way on through. Yeah, I mean, this is about the lap you said you'd pit in on, is about lap 12. So
yeah,
I think that could work out for him. Because here's the thing, right?
Well, he'll definitely have fresher tires, 3-lap fresher tires towards the end of the race. Now, will that be enough? Is it the kind of race where having those fresher tyres, like you said before, there's only 17 turns in this course. Well, it says 17 turns. Let's be honest. There's less than 17 turns because they count 4, 5, and 6 as one turn or whatever it is, or 3, 4, and 5 as separate ones when it's really just one. And there's not that many turns. So without that many turns, is it really going to make that much of a difference having the extra fresh?
It's something that I think we're going to have to really see. It's not going to be... There's definitely tracks where it's going to be a bigger threat, like next week. Next week and last week, like Singapore, those tires were so crucial because Singapore is such a grip-heavy track, especially because it's a street circuit and sometimes it's pretty... it can be pretty wet out there, and sometimes especially if you're racing on a controller, it really feels like those intermediates are kind of made out of paper mache. But this track is definitely different than this one. And next week when we head to Shanghai, as Mick Jeremy now is going to get the pads done and dusted. Easy enough. He had the DRS, he had the slipstream, and he was able to pretty much just go for it from there. And he's going to continue on as now Watanabe has come into the pits. He's going to throw on a new set of hard tires, and he's going to come out. He'll probably come out right behind, I would say, Jonno, maybe even behind JDI. Oh, wow, he's actually falling way further down.
He's
behind both those Saubers and just ahead of Dito. But here's the thing. It is easy to get overtakes done on this Las Vegas track, so he's definitely got potential to really make up room here. But here's the tricky thing. It's kind of difficult to warm up tires here. Because not to mention, obviously it's a predominantly straight line track, but also, unlike most night races in F1 where it can be scorching hot, Vegas is on the opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah, it's freezing because this race happens around American winter, so it's about probably going to be around 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
It's also in the middle of the desert, mate. In the middle of the desert, it doesn't hold much heat.
Exactly that.
Disappears at night.
Yeah, the desert gets real hot in the day, but as soon as the sun sets, all that temperature just goes out with it.
That's right. Have you ever been to Vegas?
I have not actually, no. I've been to Arizona, which is about a state over from Nevada, which is the state that holds Las Vegas. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with American geography, Las Vegas is not a state, although it might as well be, honestly, because it's probably the most well-known thing in Las Vegas, aside from in Nevada aside from the Raiders, but it is the thing about the desert, and Arizona is a very similar state when it comes to that. The desert, even though you may think desert equals hot, in the summer, yes, temperatures can get to above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think that's around, well, you probably know more of the Celsius metric than I would, but
I think it's about, I want to say it's 40.
about 47 Celsius, but yeah, Vegas is it's an interesting city. I've had friends who live there, but back to the point that's relevant.
That was way off, 37.
Back to the point that's relevant about racing. It is cold. It's a cold night here in Vegas, and so those track temps are not going to play nice with trying to get these tires heated up.
Yeah, look, and the hards are notoriously hard to get warm. They do take 2 or 3 laps to really get them inside that operating window. Or looking at Watanabe and those 2 kick Saubers, they are latched onto each other like Siamese twins. Tell you what, they are absolutely close as it gets. But yeah, look,
here actually.
Up the front here, we've got Mick Jamie still holding on, which is interesting. I thought that he would have there would have been a little bit more musical chairs going on at the front like there was previously, but you know, that top 4 really hasn't changed all that much, other than Watanabe, you know, getting the move done on Chandler's, you know, getting himself back in the top 6, but you know, is he going to be able to make the
Chandler is making a dive here on to Watanabe, but the dive doesn't exactly succeed. Trying to make a dive in the shallow end of the pool, and it did not play out as he would have wanted, but he'll still have quite a few more shots here. As Bronson now getting scrappier with Thomas, but here's the crucial thing. They've broken DRS, so a little bit of that scuffling has broken DRS to McJammy, so that could be a race defining here, as these guys absolutely just scrap it out. They're at the blackjack table and they're laying it all on the line, putting all the chips in and chipping the paint while they're at it. As we're starting to see more I was joking about bump drafting, but now we're actually kind of seeing it a bit. A bottleneck! A bit of a bottleneck here. I'm surprised that it didn't actually bring out a safety car. Pop Top got it all wrong there. It might have had a bit of a spin just ahead of the Vegas Strip. Yeah, I think it was him, and I want to say Ryan might have been getting a little mixed up in there, but yeah, because I mean, it's a pretty good gap there that Jamie has built. Jonno's now up in the P2. The 2 Aston Martins will now be pretty much neck and neck as Bronson now getting really punchy against Thomas Reed, trying to stick a wheel into the underside of that Mercedes, and the Mercedes now getting, I was going to say something that was not going to be appropriate for Stream, and getting punched into the wall.
That's naughty.
That is not appropriate for the racetrack.
Yeah, there's a bit of damage there, and we're locking up, broken wings. Both Thomas Reed and Watanabe. That is not good. So that pretty much will put a damper on those guys' races tonight. Will they be able to maintain in the top 10? I think they're probably, with that kind of damage, they're going to have to pit for new wings. That's unfortunate.
Well, I think Lamb is actually a steward. So, 2 stewards in Div1. Luckily, you guys' night isn't going to be as stressful as Season 9, Round 1 at Jeddah, where it took, I think it was Lamb and Vettel, like 2.5 hours to get through all the incident reports, because we started the season off with a 100% race at Jeddah, only for Round 2 to be at Monaco. But that's definitely going to go straight to the stewards. Yeah, I can't really.
It's interesting. Watanabe's got a completely broken wing. He's banging walls and all sorts of things. Here he comes into the pits. But Thomas Reed, it's only missing an end plate, so he's decided to soldier on, maintaining 6th position. If he's able to kind of get back into DRS. The problem is that when you do have a bit of wing damage, the byproduct of that is you're going to lose tyre degradation. You don't have the same kind of downforce available. You do start sliding through those corners, and that's really what causes the majority of your tyre deg, is overheating and sliding just like that through the corners, not being able to plant the front end, not being able to follow through with the rear end, and sliding across the tarmac. It is unfortunate. Yeah, you can see Thomas Reid. Yeah, he's the arse end hanging out all over the place there. So will he be able to hold on into that position? I think he might be a setting duck for Duty or Didu or whatever you want me to call him. But we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting, you know what? But look, whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, as they say. Other than maybe herpes, be careful of that one, kids. That comes back with you. So here we go now with Jamie still leading the way, under threat by Jonno, who is right up his gearbox, coming into the final sector of lap 17. Very interesting turn of events that we've had.
I think that's kind of our, I think that right there was kind of our, if you can't have cake at 2 a.m. moment. If you've seen that famous clip from Le Mans. But yes, when you're in Vegas, do be careful. There are some pretty dangerous things in Las Vegas.
Sin City.
It is called Sin City, yeah. So there's a lot of dangerous stuff that can happen here in this town. If you guys ever do plan on visit, if you guys do get the chance to travel abroad and travel the world, I highly recommend it. Something I still need to do myself. Need to go check out other countries at some point. Oh, I want to actually. Here's a fun fact here, right? It's around. I want to say the start finish straight. There is actually a karting track, an actual F1 branded karting track that I actually really want to try out, because it actually uses the start finish line of the Las Vegas Grand Prix track, and apparently it's a really cool thing. It's got ERS. It's got a virtual race engineer. Which it'd be interesting. If I ever do this and I ever hear my race engineer say it must be the water, I think there's going to be, I think I'm going to have a bit of a crash out, but for the most part, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely need to try it at some point. But Jonno is going to try to get a move done. He's raising the stakes here tonight as we are less than 10 laps to go in this Las Vegas Grand Prix. And things are really heating up. A team I do want to kind of highlight here tonight is Sauber, because to kick Sauber's right now have actually worked together, and they've actually they've still lost quite a few positions. Well, JDI has lost a position, but Chandler's actually made up 4 positions here on the night. Ozzy Manero is up 6 positions, so he's having a pretty solid night here tonight. Watanabe, though, is going to be the driver that is definitely going to be the least happy about that. He definitely wished the results could just stay in Vegas and not show up anywhere else. But unfortunately, that is just that's how the cookie crumbles. That's how the cards stack. It is unfortunate, but it's racing. It is going to go to the stewards, though. Someone's getting a pen at some point. But yeah, it's going to be...
Speaking of pens, Kryptonic's got the first one of the night. Looks like a track limit penalty.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky to get track limit pens on this one. I can see where you would get it, though, because we did see a few drivers invalidate pretty early on in qualifying. And, yeah, I think it looks like Keo just had a bit of a punch against a wall there. So,
yeah, we sure did. Just after singing the praises of the Kick Sauber team, they kind of come all unstuck. And Thomas Reid jumping a couple of spots into position 4, but he's just as fast as he's gained them, he's lost one of them. Still in position 5 with that dodgy front wing, so it'll be interesting to see how he's able to salvage the rest of his evening. As we go back into the start.
3 wide coming into turn 1.
And wheel to wheel again. It's all a bit loose
this is
here.
sketchy. They are gambling it all on trying to survive there. And they are really raising the stakes here tonight against the stake F1 team Kick Sauber Machines. Oh no,
Thomas is
you're
in the
in a
middle of the
Sauber
sandwich.
sandwich. This is not a place you want to be. But is he going to get 2 for the price of 1? No, they are
There goes
still
the
wheel
other, there goes the
banging.
other end plate.
They are still wheel banging as they make their way through the corner.
Oh,
Oh no,
3
3
wide past the
wide.
sphere.
And Dito's right there too. He's just right there in the mix. So I mean, you got
Epic little battle.
you got this 4 stack right here. And we'll see who will become the ace of spades in this battle. And it looks like it might be Dito getting 3 for the price of 1.
Oh.
That is a definite sale of a lifetime. And Dito making 3 positions in a series of corners. What a move there. Shows the experience of the Div1 veteran. Dito making excellent strides here.
Keep an eye on Chandler here, because, yep, there he goes. Able to use that ERS effectively. He came into that battle with a hell of a lot more than everyone else. Everyone else was pretty much drained coming into that straight. So that's what I was talking about earlier during the qualifying session, was making sure that you've got some ERS for this straight. If you don't, you can find yourself in a position where you're just a sitting duck. There we go. So Thomas still going wheel to wheel.
Yeah, so I mean,
Great.
this fight is getting really, really spicy as we're down to the final 5 laps of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. As drivers are now really trying to make moves happen here, as Tom is now trying to find any kind of gap he can, trying to go ahead and get a move done here, and he's trying to go to retake that P4 position here tonight, as these guys are just duking it out here, and they are going to go ahead and give it a go. Once again, now they are pushing
it's interesting. Now that position 4 through kind of through 7 is kind of dropped back with all of this battling. Position 1, 2, and 3 have just disappeared down the road. They are now 7 seconds ahead. That means that's pretty much, unless something untoward happens, that's pretty much where it's going to be here, with Dito heading back up again. Heading back up again.
There's a big spin!
No.
Chandler's is out! That car's become a Beyblade, and it is a safety car at the tail end of the race. You gotta raise the stakes right here in Vegas, but sometimes the house wins, and that is definitely the case.
Right.
In this case, that's the barrier that wins it out here tonight. And look at this, we're seeing some drivers in the pits. Yeah, they're gonna go for the softs. They're gonna go for
Jonno. Mediums for Jonno.
Hards for McJammy.
Hards.
But Dito's actually inherited the lead here in this one. Are we going to see a Dito win here tonight? Is that going to be... that's going to be...
he should have pitted.
It's going to be tricky, but I think it might be doable here if he can play some really good defense. Double Ferrari podium as it sits. And that's going to be good news for Jonno, who's going to try to get another win here. Who's going to try to keep that undefeated streak alive. Here's the thing.
End up 13th. Ooh. But he has gone on. He has got that set of softs, Thomas. So it depends on how new they are. How new are the set of softs? He's using a used.
Brand new is the answer to that.
laps.
Brand new is the answer to that one, as now it is going to get extremely, extremely intense here in the last couple of laps. Dito now making his way on through. He leads the race, and we should be back going on what's actually probably going to be a 2-lap mad dash here, so a 2-lap shootout. But here's the thing, if Dito can play some extreme defense here tonight, then he could get a win here. He could benefit from the chaos. I mean, he could benefit from the absolute roulette that has been this Grand Prix here tonight, as Dito is still going to go ahead and just try to fire up those hards, try to keep them fired up. Jonno is probably on the best tire for trying to make any kind of moves here tonight. He's on those brand new mediums, and they're going to be punchy out of the gate. You got to keep those tire temps up when you're on this circuit, because it is cold. It is a Arctic level circuit just about. So you really got to try to burn up those tires, and I mean, you could practically microwave those tires before putting them on, and they still might be a bit too cold to get maximum grip out here in the deserts of Las Vegas. As we make our way onto lap 23 out of 25. But here's the thing, if this does get to a point where even it's the final lap where we actually go for it, I mean, this could still be Dito's race to win here.
Do you ever get a race finish under safety car in F125? I don't think I've ever had one.
I think it's possible. I've never seen it personally. I don't think I've ever actually seen any league race finish under safety car. That's a possibility. Usually it gets going like the lap before, like it gets started back on the penultimate lap. Usually, 9 times out of 10, because the safety cars in F125 do last a bit shorter compared to real safety cars, as the sphere just kind of watches, and the drivers kind of just.
Sphere's got a big smile on his face.
Yeah, he actually even gave me like the rock style eyebrow raise as he just watches like, how did Dito get in P1?
Well, either way, I mean, Thomas Reed is not going to be happy. Being involved in 2 tangles tonight, so Chandler being one of them, and also earlier was with Thunder, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he got taken up with the Salvers, and then that caused Chandler's to absolutely
so both Salvers.
He got kicked to the curb there, as unfortunate as it is. But yeah, we'll see if we get started here. Now, if we get started on lap 24, then Jonno's got a really good shot. But if we get started on 25, that is going to make things interesting. And 24 it is. And Wild Track, I'll let you take the restart, and I'll take the final.
Here we go with the red safety car on its way back in to the pit lane. We do have Didu in front, Jonno in second, Ryan Adair in third, Pop Top in fourth, that's interesting, and Jamie fifth, and Broadstar as they get ready to go racing again. Can Dudu hang on? We are bringing it up back to racing. He is dumping that ERS and getting himself into a position to defend this lead that he's inherited, but already straight away, look at that, those tyres not being able to hold on, and there goes Jonno. Now, the good thing about this for Jonno is that he now has a slower car in between him and the rest of the field. Are they going to be able to get past Didu? Because the problem here is that if they can't get past Didu on this lap, then there is no chance that they're going to be catching Jonno, and he is going to just disappear with the win down the road. It's a huge turn of events here as we go past the sphere and around on to the last few corners before the pit, before the Vegas strip straight. Very important here to save a little bit of battery. We do have Jamie getting past Didu, but he is now 2 seconds behind Jonno, so that means that he has a lot of room to make up between now and the end of the race. But does he have the battery to do it? Maybe he does have a little bit more, but we'll see how that they go. Jonno coming into the final corner of the Vegas Strip to come into Sector 3. This means that he'll be starting the 25th and final lap of this race with a 2-second gap between him and position 2. Didu maintaining his grip on position 3, but here we go, take it away, last lap.
Last lap indeed, and things are getting real spicy here in the midfield, as now it's going to be the Sauber and Aston battle here yet again, and we see Keotonic and Aussie going ahead and scrapping it out here, and that's Keotonic having a bit of a snap and a bit of a slide on those 14-lap-old hard tires, as the gaps really start to spread out here up at the front as we make our way coming to the Las Vegas Sphere. Watanabe up a position on to Ryan, and now these guys are going to continue to scrap it out here for P4, but it is the final lap of the Las Vegas Grand Prix here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as now Dito is going to go ahead and try to run away and try to at least still secure a podium for Williams, which is going to be a much needed result here for the team from Grove, as Pop Top blocks up a little bit there as we go down the Vegas Strip for one last time, through the glitz, through the glamour, past all the sights and sounds of Las Vegas at night. And he's only got a handful of corners to make. He missed around in Singapore, but the 5-race winning streak is still alive now for Jonno. He's making the run to the line. He took a gap week, and now he's leaving a gap to the rest of the field. Jonno wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix and fastest lap to boot until Mick Jamie takes it away in P2. Battle for the podium continues. Dito will get a podium here tonight, followed by Watanabe, Pop Top, Ryan, JDI, Thomas getting P8, Aussie, Broadstup, the One Truth, and then is Coda, and then the rest of the field here tonight. But that is going to be race done and dusted here tonight. I mean, things really got really spicy in particular parts of the race, especially safety cars, and gambling on the strategy was kind of the name of the game, although the strategy gamble didn't quite work out there. The crazy thing is I can see Jonno doing that in person. I feel like if he got a podium in a karting event, that's exactly the move he'd pull. But Jonno wins again. 5 wins in the season. He has gone 5 out of the 6 possible wins here this season. And the champagne is going to go ahead and be sprayed around here as we celebrate here in Las Vegas. I'm sure they're going to hit the casino right after this one. And race winner is Jonno. Fastest lap does go to Jamie. Driver of the day is Aussie, followed by most overtakes in Thomas Reed. And cleanest driver is also Jamie. So we're going to go ahead and run through our results here tonight before getting underway with interviews. It is going to be Jonno ahead of Jamie, ahead of Dito, ahead of Watanabe, Pop Top, Ryan Adair, reserving up tonight. And then it is JDI, Thomas, Aussie, driver of the day, and then it is Broadsta, the One Truth, Coda, AK Alphabet, and then we have Jorgo, Keotonic, Aiden is rating, Gangsta, Swith, Andre, and then our 2 retirees of Chandler's and Broadsta, rounding out the field here tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get ready for some interviews with our top 3. But man, can I just say, what a race this was. I mean, it was really spicy from here to the end.
Yeah, look, just looking at the results there, we've got looked like almost 10 front wing changes during the pit stops of that race. So it just goes to show, especially those closed in tracks where you've got, you know, the walls right there, especially got tracks like Vegas, Azerbaijan, Jeddah, you know, you get a little bit wrong and then all of a sudden you are absolutely tapping wings and breaking bits of carbon off.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one to say the least. And we'll see. Do we have anybody for interviews at the moment? We got Dito. So we got Dito into the interview box. And we got Jonno. So we're just waiting on P3. And actually, we got everybody. So I don't even need to say anything. So here's how we're going to go and do it. We're going to let Wild Track here take P3 away with Meowsy, a.k.a. P3 with Dito, who is
Dito,
with us
sorry
right
for
now.
calling you D-Do. But you did. Well done on the P3. You've managed to take advantage of the chaos with that safety car. Tell us a little bit about your race, but in particular, tell us about what you were thinking when that safety car came out.
Yeah, hey guys. The race was up and down. I was just trying to hang on to that DRS pack, and then I don't know what was going on, but there was some crazy stuff going on in that sort of mid battle there, and we lost a lot of time, and I thought I pit too early too, so I was like kind of just thinking in my head I'll just settle for a P8, P7, and then obviously the safety car was so close to pitting, and then just dived out, just decided to stay out. I'm like, what can I lose? These guys are too quick anyway. So it was like, I just gave it a shot, and I was lucky that there were a few guys on the older tyre wedged in between a few of the faster guys. But man, that last lap was pretty intense, but pretty happy to get a P3, mate, with that group.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. Now, look, you came through, you stayed out on those hard tyres, losing the position pretty much straight away to Jonno. Were you worried that that was going to be a cascade of events and you were just going to tumble down the line?
Yeah, turn one did not go to like what it was going in my head, but yeah, lost that position. I'm like, oh, here we go. I managed to stay in front of Mousy a bit longer, which probably unfortunately cost him the win. But yeah, I just needed to try and go as fast as I can. And obviously, I thought Pop Top was going to catch me, but actually it was Bonton in the end that was really close there. So yeah, I was out of battery, mate. I think if that straight was a couple more 100 meters long, he would have got me. But yeah, good race, man. I'm pretty stoked with that, and yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting for sure.
No, well, congratulations on the P3. Spectacular race, mate, and well done.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, Dito. So I'm gonna ask you go ahead and ask you 2 questions here. Actually, 3 questions before we let you go. Were you even expecting a shot at a podium here tonight?
Oh, no way. I mean, I I can get in the top 10 on a good day usually, but like yeah, this tonight's grid was on paper was insane. And yeah, I was really surprised I was even in the race to begin with. Just hanging on that DRS pack, but yeah, just things went the way I needed them to go. So yeah, not what I was expecting, mate, for sure.
2 more questions before we go ahead and let you go here. It is Shanghai, China sprint race next week. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's growing on me, mate. It's the last race of the season last season, and yeah, it was a good result for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
It is the last round, I think, before silly season kicks off as well. There is a 1 week break in between China and Jeddah, so should be a fun one. But last question before we let you go here: is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, obviously shout out Williams and everyone jumping in and in the chats and everything tonight, and obviously shout out top 3 Mousy and Jonno, and also Left 4 Dead and the kicks as well. I mean, there was a bit of weird stuff going on there, but yeah, everyone in that top 7, top 8 was good fun. So shout out everyone, and you guys for comps too. So.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the podium, and we'll see you next week in China.
Cheers, mate. Appreciate it.
All right, so we're gonna jump from P2 to from P3 to P2. I can't get my numbers right tonight. And we're now talking with Meowsy. So Meowsy, a very good week for you overall. Got pole position, P2, and fastest lap. How do you feel about your results here tonight?
Yeah, fine, I guess. I knew I was gonna get probably P2 or P1 anyway, so as soon as I saw Jonno come out 2 cars in front of me, I knew I didn't really have a chance for the win. Plus, he had mediums, so I couldn't really compete. So, Dita didn't really hold me up at all. I had no chance for the win anyway. So, yeah, I was just a bit unlucky with the safety car. Could have maybe had a chance of getting Jonno for the final couple laps, but my tires were a lot worse compared to his. So, yeah, it's just the side effects of leading the train. You just have to push a little bit more to make sure you don't lose out, and fortunately didn't manage that very well. So John probably would have won anyway. So I'm fine with how this race went.
All right, so yeah, it was from one track that has a lot of straight lines to another track that kind of has a few more corners, but still has a really massive straight on it as well. It is Shanghai next week, sprint weekend. How do you feel?
Yeah, that's not what I want to be hearing. I don't not. That's like my least favorite track. I don't have good times around there.
All right, last question before we go ahead and let you go. Is there anyone you'd like to, actually, before I pass you over to a wild track, is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, Red Bull for being a bunch of cool people and Dito for having a good result. That was pretty cool.
All right, well, congratulations on the P2, and I'll pass you over to Wild Track if he's got any other questions or comments.
Yeah, no, well done on a P2, mate. Look, as we were watching from the comms box, it looked like a bit of musical chairs at the front as you guys were trading places throughout the race for the race lead there, especially on the back straight. Did you have any specific strategy that you were kind of, holding in the back of your mind, in particular regarding that back straight and how the lead kept on kind of changing around, and also how was it dealing with those Aston Martins that were sniffing around a lot at the start of the race?
I don't really have a strategy. It's just try and get close enough to have a go. I mean, in DRS train, kind of don't have a chance to do anything. Could be 2 temps behind someone at the beginning and still be 2 temps behind them at the end. So it's just about managing battery. Yeah, the Astons got me pretty well considering with the VFC. I just had to start braking. I would have gone the drive through. So it was a bit unfortunate, but I just knew I needed a box 1 lap earlier, and I would have been able to get my positions back, so that was really about it.
Well, look, you did fantastically well, mate. Well done on, especially after the restart on the late safety car, picking up P2. You were a little bit behind Jonno there at the end, so you saw the actual win evaporate a little bit. But look, P2 still a fantastic result, and good luck for China next week.
Thank you.
All right, and now we're going to go to a man who is probably seen P1 more than any other position on this grid. Waldrek, you have Jonno, race leader and
Jonno,
championship leader.
Number 5, leading the way. Very well done. Great opportunity there at the end to pit for those mediums and maintain the pressure straight away into turn 1. Tell us a little bit about your race, how it kind of panned out for you, and how it finished.
Quali wasn't the best from me. I was hoping to maybe fight for pole, but I just didn't have the pace. So starting off on the back foot, made my way through the pack slightly. I think I got up to P2 maybe, or P3 at the beginning. And it's kind of just maintaining your tire wear throughout the whole thing, because if you start pushing way too early, the other guys are going to get you straight away. So it was mainly about preserving the tire life throughout the whole race. And then when the first pit stops came, I think I pitted a lap later than most people, and one ton continued on. But I feel like when I pit, that was probably the best lap to do so, as I was right behind Brodster and Miyazi, which had older tires than me. So yeah, it was going pretty well then, and then a safety car came out. My teammate definitely helped, because I thought he was going to pass me when I just came out under that safety car out of the pit lane. But no, I was right behind Dito, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, that's right. Another that restart, being able to have those obviously slightly warmer, stickier medium tyres, stamping your authority straight away on the restart there, and then just disappearing down the track. I mean, a 2-second lead opened up pretty quickly. Was after that, did you think, yep, I've got this one in the bag?
Yeah, I definitely knew that. I don't know why, but I tried to go for the fastest lap on that lap, which didn't work out because the tires weren't hot enough. So that's, I lost out on fastest lap, but that's okay. I think I did the best I could, honestly.
Well, look, congratulations, mate, on win number 5, and good luck heading into China next week.
Thanks, mate.
All right, so Jonno, you missed a week in Singapore, and then you pretty much just picked up right where you left off. So congratulations on the race win and making it 5 in a row.
Thank you.
So last question actually 2 questions before I let you go. How do you feel about China? Do you think you can make it 6 for 6 in China?
China, I don't know. I haven't done many league races around there. The league races I have done, my pace is kind of okay, but probably not competitive enough right now. So I might need to do a little bit of practice before the next race. So I'll just have to do that.
And then last question before I let you go here tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, definitely Lamb, my teammate. He jumped in for Lucky when he couldn't race, and getting P6 after that. Well, what a result from him. So really good effort.
Indeed. So once again, congratulations on the race win, and we'll see you next week in Shanghai.
Thank you very much, guys. See you later.
Alrighty then, that's going to go to wrap things up here for us in Rush Racing League Division 1. We've kicked off the week with a bit of a banger. Stakes already very high, carrying on to the rest of the week. Any final thoughts here, Wildtrack, before we go ahead and let this one go off into the Vegas night?
No, look, obviously the stewards have probably got a little bit of homework to do after a bit of chaos there during the Vegas GP. But look, another amazing race here at Rush. Really good to see the Div1 guys battling it out. Great work from Jonno, 5 in a row. That is absolutely fantastic for him. It'll be interesting to see how he goes at China next week. I reckon he's going to go pretty well. He sounds like he's just shying off admitting that he's probably going to do pretty well on that one as well. But stamping his authority on the league at the moment and creating himself a nice little gap and a really big help out with the constructor side of things. But look, China next week should be an absolute fantastic race as well. A really good combination of fast and corners and that big old long straight down to the hairpin to finish up with in Sector 3 there. So that is also an awesome track to be able to watch. And really good views on that one too, in terms of, you know, how you can actually go round. So that one's a really cool track. But look, as always, it's a pleasure commentating with you, Rekus. So great work tonight. And I look forward to commentating again in the near future, and we'll see how we go.
Indeed, yeah, it was a fun time here tonight in Las Vegas. But here's the unfortunate thing. All fun times must come to an end, and we have reached the end of the broadcast here tonight. I do want to thank Sim Racing Center, SimLab Pagnian, and AI369, our fantastic sponsors. Also, thank you guys in the Twitch chat for being as awesome as always. You guys never disappoint in the chat. But on behalf of Wild Track and Rush Racing League, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for tonight's Grand Prix. Tune in for the rest of the week to see who gambles good enough, whose gambles pay off, and whose gambles go bust as we go through the rest of the week here in Las Vegas. Stay hydrated, and we'll see you guys later on in Rush Racing League. Have a good night.